Welcome to IMCAS TV, 10 minutes with the VAT crisis. A tax hike for cosmetic surgery, which increases the cost to patients by 20% in France. And since I'm with a German plastic surgeon, Dr. Joachim von Finkenstein, 19% VAT hike in Germany. It's been called the Beau tax. It's been called the fat tax, as the VAT has been called in the press, but it's been in effect in certain European countries since 2011, I believe. Dr. Finkenstein, you are a plastic surgeon outside of Munich, and since 2007, the president of the German Society of Aesthetic Surgery. Can you tell me who makes the decision whether or not the doctor's fee should be subject to VAT or not? Reconstructive surgery, aesthetic surgery, it's a very, very fine line.
It's not a fine line at all because it's a gray zone.
A gray zone.
Where would you exactly put the limits? And in fact, it is the doctor who has to say this is more an aesthetic wish, and this is more reconstructive wish. But I will give you an example. For instance, a person who had a weight loss of 50 kilograms. And all the skin is sagging, and you try to give them the appearance they had perhaps 20 years before. Is that reconstructive or is that aesthetic?
Right, well, yeah. It's aesthetic that becomes reconstructive, yeah.
So if we pretend that it's reconstructive, the tax lawyers pretend no, it is aesthetic, and that will be the problem you will have in the next, the problem the French people, the French people will have in the next months.
But I think it's important to remind the world that any plastic surgeon or dermatologist is first and foremost a doctor. Yes. And what a doctor believes to be necessary, a necessary intervention, might not be exempt from VAT ruling. What is your feeling on this?
My feeling on that is that we all, in each medical operation we perform, or even treatment, we have a therapeutic aim. Mm-hmm. Even for facelifting or a simple liposuction, the therapeutic aim is that the patient feels better afterwards, like he feels better after breast reconstruction. So, in my opinion, we don't see any difference in between. But if the state tries to get money, of course, you will see it in a different way.
So in a way, aesthetic surgery is true therapy.
Absolutely.
And what happens, let's say, when there is a complication with an aesthetic surgery and it turns into a true reconstructive surgical procedure? Is that subject to VAT?
Fortunately, it doesn't happen too often.
Well,
but in Germany, we have not only the VAT, we have a law since 2004 telling that all the costs you would have following an aesthetic treatment, you might be charged completely for it. They just try to avoid the complications they have to pay. We are very, very angry about that law, because that would mean that even the smokers should pay if there are following costs due to their smoking.
Right, right.
Where is the difference? But this law passed because the lobby of plastic surgery, unfortunately, is not so big as the lobbies of the industries.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about the PIP scandal.
Yes.
And are people that are getting the implants removed, is that subject to VAT? Should it be subject to VAT?
Of course, I would say no, because that would not be fair for the patients. Everything you have to pay you have to pay tax for it, and you haven't to do it in other countries in Europe. It's not fair. We have, for instance, advertisements in Aachen, which is a town quite near Holland, the Netherlands, and Belgium. And Belgium doctors put advertisement in the newspapers telling them, please come to us. You will have to pay the VAT. And this is completely silly, because the law came from the Court of Europe, trying that everything in Europe is working the same way.
Right, standardized.
And it is exactly the opposite which is happening.
Yeah, and can you talk to us a little bit about the disaster of the German VAT experience?
Yes, it's a long story. The disaster is that um, the power of the state is so big that you don't have any chance if you try to argue. We had a lot of
Bankruptcies.
bankruptcies of doctors. We even had some who committed suicide because in Germany we have a law who allows to pass 10 years back, and they were asking them for more than 1 million euros. They didn't have it, and if it is the last point in a personal depression you have, that
Yeah,
might lead
yeah.
you to such a consequence. And that's why we all are very mad about what the state is just performing with us just because they would like to have money.
Yeah, and you said it's in Germany, but it's very possible that can happen in a lot of other European countries, or is
Absolutely.
already happening in a lot of other
Absolutely.
European
Germany has
countries.
been the first country where it works, and I hope for France that they will be strong enough to be against, but I'm pessimistic because I know that the power of the state is bigger than the power of the lobby of the plastic surgeries.
Exactly, exactly. And do you believe that patients who really need plastic surgery are now maybe hesitant about seeing a doctor because of the VAT?
Maybe, or they go up to Belgium, or they go to the countries where they don't have to pay it.
Well, there is that philosophy that plastic surgery and dermatology are not going to be affected by the VAT. For example, during the economic crisis, plastic surgery and dermatology were not affected because some people feel beauty at all cost.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see where legislation is. Where do you think it's going to go?
I think that a lot of doctors will reduce their fee, half and half of the VAT. I mean, so that netto is more or less the same price than brutto. I'm sure not only the patients will pay for it,
Yes.
the doctors as well will pay for it. So it will be a mixture of everything to remain competitive. But it is, as I told, if the neighbor land is allowed to give a bill without a VAT, that's not.
It will have an exodus of people running to
Yes,
that
yeah.
country for surgery, and it
Yeah.
opens the floodgates.
It was the same in the United States when silicone was forbidden. They go to Mexico. Some came even to Europe to put them inside
The
Mexico.
silicone,
Yeah, to
right.
put silicone in their
Right.
body.
Yeah, it opens the floodgates for
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
catastrophic and results in
And
some cases.
we just heard from Fodenhai that there's one state in the United States asking for VAT for plastic surgery, and all the people went in the next state where it wasn't, so they tried to abandon it. But I doubt whether in Europe it will be that way.
Do you think there's any possibility to repeal the VAT tax?
In fact, it is not yet decided. It is not yet decided. Just because the state proclaims it, we might have a demand by the European Court whether this is true for the plastic surgery as well, because it is issued to all the. If you have, I don't know the word in English. If you have to say you have, for instance, you lost your arm, and then they say the percentage where you can work less is 25%.
Right.
So I don't know the word in English. If they look at you to see, or they try to find out whether you're the father of a baby.
Right.
Yes?
Right.
Then they put on a paper. This is put on a VAT, and that was the issue for the VAT. But they never said plastic surgery has to go.
No.
So in Germany, when we pay the tax, we still say until it will completely decided. And in France, they should do the same.
They should do the
because
same.
the European Court never said plastic surgery has to be under VAT.
Now, that's an important point.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very important point. Thank you so much. This has really been very, very interesting, and we've learned a lot. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.